Kim Dae-ho stepped off the transport ship and looked at his new home. The sky on Velthera 7 was purple, not blue like Earth's sky. Two small suns hung in the air, making everything look bright and strange. He carried one bag with his clothes and another bag with special things from Earth. His mom had packed dried tea leaves, some seeds from their family garden, and a small ceramic bowl his grandfather made. The spaceport was busy with many different aliens. Some had blue skin, others had extra arms, and a few looked like giant insects. Dae-ho had studied pictures of different alien races, but seeing them in person felt weird. They all moved very fast and talked in voices that sounded like machines. A tall alien with blue crystal skin walked up to him. She had 4 arms and big purple eyes. Her movements were quick and exact like a robot. "You are Kim Dae-ho, Human Agricultural Engineer, identification number H23874419, she said. It was not a question. "Yes, that's me," Dae-ho said with a smile. "Nice to meet you." The alien looked confused by his smile. "I am Lyra, Veltheran Cultural Liaison Unit, assigned to your integration protocol. Follow me." Dae-ho followed her through the spaceport. Everything was made of smooth metal and glass. Lights changed colors as they walked. The whole place felt cold and perfect, but not comfortable. "So you'll be helping me settle in?" he asked. "I will manage your domestic environment and ensure proper cultural compliance," Lyra said without looking back. "Your species requires significant support to adapt to civilized standards." They took a fast train to the housing area. Dae-ho watched the purple landscape fly by. Strange plants grew in perfect rows. Buildings were all the same shape and color. Everything looked planned and organized, but somehow empty. His new house was small but clean. The walls were white and everything inside was made of the same smooth metal. There was a food machine, a cleaning system, and a bed that came out of the wall. Nothing had color or personality. "Your living unit has been prepared to Galactic Cooperative Standards," Lyra explained. She touched a wall panel and lights turned on. "The nutrition synthesizer provides all required calories and vitamins. The atmospheric processor maintains optimal air quality. The waste management system operates automatically." Dae-ho put his bags down and looked around. The place felt like a hospital room. "It's very clean," he said. "Cleanliness and efficiency are important values of civilized species," Lyra said. "Your previous living conditions on Earth were documented as primitive and wasteful." Dae-ho opened his first bag and took out some clothes. Then he opened the second bag and pulled out his grandfather's ceramic bowl. It was brown and had small marks where his grandfather's fingers had shaped the clay. One side was a little uneven. Lyra stared at the bowl. "What is the function of this object? It appears damaged." "It's a bowl my grandfather made," Dae-ho said, placing it carefully on the metal table. "He used it for tea every morning. Now I use it. The nutrition synthesizer provides beverages in sterile containers. This object serves no logical purpose and may contain harmful bacteria." Dae-ho smiled. "It's not about logic. It reminds me of my family." Lyra's 4 arms moved in what looked like confusion. She made a note on a small device. "Emotional attachment to non-functional objects is a documented human weakness. This will be reported." Next, Dae-ho took out a packet of tea leaves and some small seeds. Lyra watched him like he was doing something dangerous. "What are those organic materials?" she asked. "Tea from my mom's garden and some flower seeds. I thought I could plant them by the window." "Introducing alien plant life requires official approval. The substances must be tested for toxins and environmental contamination." "They're just sunflower seeds," Dae-ho said, "and the tea is safe. My family has been drinking it for generations." "Your family's survival does not guarantee safety according to galactic health standards." Dae-ho put the seeds on the table next to his bowl. The brown ceramic looked warm and real next to the cold metal. "Would you like some tea? I can make it the old way, with hot water." Lyra stepped back. "I do not consume unprocessed organic materials. The nutrition synthesizer provides all required hydration with proper vitamin enhancement." "It's not about vitamins," Dae-ho said. "It's about taking time to enjoy something nice. Enjoyment is an inefficient emotional response. Time should be used for productive activities." Dae-ho went to the food machine and figured out how to get hot water. He put some tea leaves in his grandfather's bowl and poured the water over them. The smell of tea filled the sterile room. It smelled like home, like his mom's kitchen, like Sunday mornings with his family. Lyra watched him with those big purple eyes. She seemed curious but also worried. This process takes much longer than the synthesizer, she said. That's the point, Deho said. He sat down and held the warm bowl in his hands. Sometimes the slow way is better. He took a small sip and closed his eyes. The tea tasted like earth, like rain on leaves, like his grandfather's gentle hands teaching him to be patient. When he opened his eyes, Lyra was still watching him. You appear to be experiencing emotional responses to the beverage, she observed. I guess I am, Deho said. Good tea makes me think of good memories. Memory activation through sensory input is documented but considered inefficient. Past experiences should not affect present performance. Deho looked at her with gentle eyes. But memories are what make us who we are. Without them, we're just machines. Lyra's crystal skin changed color slightly, becoming a little more pink. She made another note on her device. Your integration will require significant work, she said. Tomorrow I will begin replacing your primitive items with proper equipment. What if I don't want them replaced? What you want is not relevant. The Galactic Cooperative requires all residents to meet civilized standards. Deho finished his tea and cleaned his grandfather's bowl with water. He dried it carefully and placed it back on the table. This bowl stays, he said quietly but firmly. Lyra looked at him for a long moment. Something in her expression seemed different, less robotic. I will consider your request, she said. After Lyra left, Deho sat in his sterile room and missed home. But when he looked at his grandfather's bowl and smelled the lingering scent of tea, he felt a little better. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight he had a small piece of Earth with him. Outside his window, the purple sky grew dark and strange stars came out. This was his new world now. He would have to find a way to make it feel like home, one small tradition at a time. Lyra came back the next morning carrying boxes of new equipment. Her crystal blue skin looked bright in the purple sunlight coming through Deho's window. She moved with the same quick, exact movements as before. Good morning, Deho said from his small kitchen area. He was making tea again in his grandfather's bowl. Would you like some breakfast? I found out how to make the food machine create rice. I have consumed my required nutrients for this time period, Lyra said. She set down the boxes with a loud clank. These items will replace your inefficient equipment. Deho looked at the boxes with worry. What kind of items? Proper sleeping unit, advanced nutrition station, educational entertainment system, and regulation furniture. Lyra opened the first box and pulled out a metal bed frame. Your current furniture does not meet standard requirements. But I like my bed. It's comfortable. Comfort is less important than proper body alignment and sleep efficiency. Lyra started taking apart his old bed with tools that came from one of her 4 arms. This new unit will monitor your sleep patterns and adjust temperature and firmness automatically. Deho watched her work. Everything she did was fast and perfect. She never had to think about which tool to use or how to fix something, but something about it made him sad. Don't you ever just enjoy doing things slowly? He asked. Lyra stopped working and looked at him. Slowness is waste. Time has value. Efficiency creates better outcomes. But what about the journey? What about learning while you work? Learning is achieved through data download. Manual work is for machines, not intelligent beings. Deho sat down at his table, still holding his tea. On Earth, my grandfather taught me to work with wood. He said the best part wasn't finishing the project. It was spending time together, talking while we worked, feeling the wood become smooth under our hands. Lyra's purple eyes focused on him with what looked like curiosity. This sounds inefficient, but interesting. After she finished with the bed, Lyra started on the kitchen area. She tried to remove his small collection of tea leaves and replace them with flavor cartridges for the nutrition machine. These cartridges provide 17 different taste experiences with perfect nutritional balance, she explained. Deho gently took the tea packet from her hands. Their fingers touched for a moment. Her skin felt warm and smooth, not cold like he expected. But they're not real, he said. Real is not important. Function is important. What if real and function are the same thing? Lyra paused. She seemed to think about this idea, which was new for her. I do not understand. Deho opened the tea packet and let her smell it. This tea grows in dirt under sun and rain. People pick the leaves with their hands. My mom dried them in her kitchen. When I drink it, I taste all of that. I taste home. Lyra leaned closer to smell the tea. Her expression changed slightly. It has a complex scent profile. Exactly. The cartridges might taste like tea, but they don't smell like my mom's garden after rain. They don't carry memories. Memories are data storage. They should not affect present experiences. But they do, Deho said with a smile. That's what makes us alive instead of just smart. That afternoon, Lyra tried to replace his books with a digital learning device. Deho had brought 5 old books from Earth. They were worn and some pages were bent. These paper books carry bacteria and deteriorate over time, Lyra said. This device contains 10 million books with search functions and updated information. Deho picked up one of his books. It was a collection of poems his sister had given him. But look, he said, opening to a page with a pressed flower inside. My sister put this flower here when she gave me the book. She said it would remind me of Earth's spring. Lyra stared at the dried flower. She reached out with one finger and almost touched it, then pulled back. Organic matter in books is not hygienic. Maybe not. But every time I see it, I remember the day she gave me this book. I remember her smile and the way the spring air smelled that day. You could store this information in your memory files. It's not the same. When I see the real flower, I feel the memory. When I just think about it, it's only thoughts. Lyra was quiet for a moment. Her skin color shifted slightly, becoming a little more purple. Your species has unusual attachment patterns. Maybe. Or maybe your species forgot how to be attached. This seemed to surprise Lyra. She made a note on her device, but slower than usual. That is an interesting perspective. Later, when Lyra was installing the new entertainment system, Deho started cooking rice the old way. He had found some basic ingredients in the colony store. The smell of cooking food filled the room. Lyra stopped working and watched him. The nutrition synthesizer can create rice in 30 seconds with perfect texture and nutrients. I know, Deho said, stirring the rice gently. But I like the way it smells while it cooks. I like listening to the water bubble. My grandmother taught me that cooking is like meditation. Meditation can be achieved more efficiently with brainwave adjustment. Technology. Can your technology make you feel peaceful while also making something delicious for someone you care about? Lyra's forearms went still. I do not understand the concept of someone you care about in this context. Deho looked at her with gentle eyes. Would you like to try some rice when it's ready? Not because it's nutritious, but because I made it for you. For me? Yes, I'd like to share it with you. Lyra's skin turned a deeper purple color. She seemed confused but not upset. This is not part of my assigned duties. No, it's not about duties. It's about being kind to each other. When the rice was ready, Deho served it in 2 bowls. He gave Lyra the bigger portion and sat down across from her. Try it, he said. Lyra looked at the rice for a long time. Then she took a small bite. Her purple eyes opened wide. It has a different texture than synthesized rice, more complex. How does it make you feel? Feel? Lyra paused. I think warm, not temperature warm. Something else, Deho smiled. That's what we call comfort food. Food that makes your heart feel good, not just your stomach. They ate together in quiet. Outside, the purple sun was setting. Lyra seemed different, more relaxed. Her movements were less robotic. Tomorrow I must complete your equipment upgrades, she said finally. I understand. But could we have tea together first? The slow way? Lyra looked at him, then at his grandfather's bowl, then back at him. Perhaps, for efficiency testing purposes, I could observe your tea preparation process more carefully. Deho knew this was her way of saying yes without admitting she wanted to try it. I'd like that, he said. As Lyra left that evening, she moved more slowly than usual. At the door, she stopped and looked back at him. Your methods are highly inefficient, she said. I know, but they produce unexpected results. After she left, Deho cleaned the rice bowls and smiled. Change was starting, one small meal at a time. 3 weeks had passed since Lyra first came to Deho's house. Every morning she arrived exactly on time, but now she always accepted his offer of tea. She had learned to hold the warm cup in her 4 hands and wait for the tea to cool instead of drinking it immediately. Today I brought something, Lyra said, pulling a small object from her work bag. It was a piece of blue crystal shaped like a flower. I made this during my rest period. Deho took the crystal flower and held it up to the light. It was beautiful, with tiny details carved into each petal. You made this? It's amazing. I do not know why I made it, Lyra said, her skin turning a light pink color. It serves no function. It was inefficient use of time. But you wanted to make it, didn't you? Wanting is not a concept I was taught to value. Daeho placed the crystal flower next to his grandfather's bowl on the table. They looked good together, the brown ceramic and blue crystal. Now I have something to remember you by, like you have something to remember Earth by when you smell my tea. Lyra stared at the flower. I have been experiencing unusual thoughts, she said quietly. Sometimes I think about our conversations when I'm supposed to be working on other assignments. That sounds normal to me. Normal for humans. Not normal for Veltherans. We are taught to focus completely on present tasks. Daeho poured tea for both of them. What do you think about? Yesterday you showed me how to plant seeds. You said I should talk to them to help them grow. This seems impossible, but I find myself curious about the process. A week earlier, Daeho had started a small garden in the space behind his house. The colony rule said residents could use the land for personal projects. Most aliens built storage units or exercise areas. Daeho dug up the hard dirt and planted his sunflower seeds. Lyra had watched him work. Plants do not require conversation, she had said. They need water, nutrients, and proper light wavelengths. They need those things too, Daeho had agreed, patting soil around a seed. But they also respond to care and attention. My grandmother always said plants know when someone loves them. Love is not measurable. How can plants detect unmeasurable emotions? I don't know how it works. I just know it does work. Now, sitting with their tea, Lyra said something that surprised him. I spoke to your seeds yesterday when you were not present. You did? What did you say? Lyra's skin turned darker purple like she was embarrassed. I told them to grow strong. I said I would like to see their flowers. And how did that make you feel? Silly, but also hopeful? Is hopeful the correct word? It sounds right to me. That afternoon, another human arrived at Daeho's house. She was older, with gray hair and kind eyes. I'm Park Soo-jin, she said. I live 2 streets over. I heard you started a garden. Yes, just a small one. Would you like to see it? Soo-jin followed him outside. The sunflower seeds had started to grow into tiny green plants. Oh, these are beautiful, she said. I've been wanting to plant something from home, but I wasn't sure if it was allowed. The rules say we can use the land for personal projects. I have tomato seeds from my mother's garden in Seoul. Do you think they would grow here? We can try together. Lyra watched from the window as Daeho and Soo-jin planned their expanded garden. Other residents walked by and stopped to look. A tall alien with 6 legs asked questions about the plants. 2 small aliens with furry faces touched the leaves gently. When Soo-jin left, Lyra came outside. More humans want to plant earth vegetation, she said, and some non-humans too. Did you see how carefully they touched the plants? Yes, their behavior was gentle. Plants make people gentle. That's one of their special powers. Over the next few days, more residents came to look at the garden. Soo-jin brought her tomato seeds and planted them in neat rows. A Veltheran engineer named Kix asked if he could plant some crystal flowers that grew on his home planet. An insect-like alien called Ver contributed seeds that would grow into purple vines. Lyra came every day to watch the garden grow. She learned the names of all the plants and remembered which ones needed more water. She started bringing tools to help with the work. I have been researching earth gardening techniques, she told Daeho one morning. There are many methods your people use that are not taught in standard agriculture programs. Like what? Companion planting. Growing different plants together so they help each other grow better. And crop rotation. And something called composting, where organic waste becomes food for plants. My grandfather taught me all of those things. Would you like me to show you? Yes, for research purposes. Daeho smiled. Lyra always said things were for research purposes when she was curious about human ways. It was her way of giving herself permission to learn, but their peaceful time was ending. One morning, a tall woman in a military uniform came to Daeho's house. She had short black hair and serious eyes. I'm Commander Yeon Hae-jin, Colonial Security, she said. I need to speak with you about your cultural liaison. Daeho invited her inside. Lyra was already there, helping him prepare breakfast. When she saw the commander, her skin went completely white. Liaison Lyra, you are assigned to cultural compliance duty, not domestic assistance, Commander Yeon said. Reports indicate you have been participating in unauthorized activities. I am observing human customs for educational purposes, Lyra said, but her voice was shaking. Observation does not require participation. You have been seen gardening. consuming unprocessed food and engaging in recreational conversation. This is not professional behavior. Deho stepped forward. It's my fault, Commander. I asked her to help me understand colonial procedures. She was being helpful. Mr. Kim, you have been assigned a cultural liaison to help you adapt to our standards, not the reverse. The Galactic Cooperative takes cultural contamination very seriously. Cultural contamination? When primitive species influence more advanced civilizations in negative ways. It's a documented problem that can disrupt social stability. Lyra's skin color kept changing between white and purple. Commander, I have observed no negative effects from human cultural practices. You have observed no negative effects because you have been compromised. Effective immediately, you will be reassigned to a different client. Someone will come tomorrow to remove any unauthorized items from this residence. After Commander Yan left, Lyra sat down heavily in a chair. I am in serious trouble, she said. What will happen to you? Reassignment to manual labor duties. Possible memory adjustment to remove inappropriate emotional responses. Deho felt cold fear in his stomach. They can change your memories? It is standard procedure for cultural contamination cases. But you haven't been contaminated. You've been learning to be yourself. Lyra looked at him with her big purple eyes. What if myself is wrong? It's not wrong. What you become, what you've learned to feel, that's the real you. How can you be certain? Because I've watched you become happier. I've seen you create beautiful things. I've seen you care about plants and worry about friends. Those aren't contamination, those are the best parts of being alive. Lyra was quiet for a long time. Finally, she said, Tomorrow when they come, I will not let them take your grandfather's bowl or your seeds. How will you stop them? I do not know yet, but I know I must try. That night, Deho lay in his bed looking out at the stars. His small garden grew peacefully in the purple moonlight. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but he knew something important had happened. Lyra had chosen to fight for the things that mattered, even if it meant breaking the rules she had followed all her life. Change was coming, whether the authorities wanted it or not. The next morning came too early. Deho woke up to the sound of vehicles outside his house. Through his window, he saw 3 official transports and several Veltheran security officers in silver uniforms. Commander Yeon stood in the middle giving orders. Lyra was already in his kitchen, but she looked different. Her crystal blue skin was pale and her 4 arms moved nervously. They are early, she said. I hoped we would have more time. Time for what? To hide your important things. Deho looked at his grandfather's bowl sitting on the table next to Lyra's crystal flower. It's okay. They're just objects. No, Lyra said firmly. You taught me that objects can carry memories and love. I will not let them destroy your memories. Before Deho could stop her, Lyra grabbed his grandfather's bowl and the packet of tea leaves. She also took some seeds from his garden project and put everything into a small bag. There is a storage area beneath the floor in the community garden. I discovered it yesterday while researching soil depth. Lyra, you don't have to do this. If they catch me, I will be punished anyway. Better to be punished for doing something good. A loud knock came at the door. Open immediately for official inspection, someone called out. Lyra moved to the back window. I will hide these things and return quickly. Tell them I went to get official forms from my office. Be careful. Lyra looked at him for a moment. Her purple eyes were bright with determination. Thank you for teaching me to be careful about things that matter. She climbed out the window and ran toward the garden area. Deho went to answer the door. Commander Yeon entered with 2 security officers and a tall Veltharan with silver skin and cold eyes. This is Elder Veltar, head of Cultural Purity Division, the commander said. Where is your liaison? She went to get some official paperwork from her office, Deho said, hoping his voice sounded normal. Elder Veltar looked around the room with disgust. The contamination is worse than reported. I can smell organic cooking materials. He pointed at the small kitchen area. Remove all primitive equipment. Sterilize the air system. The security officers started taking apart Deho's kitchen. They threw away his cooking pots and the rice he had been saving. They found his books and tossed them into a disposal container. These paper products contain biological contamination, Elder Veltar said. Reading primitive literature can damage cognitive function. Those are just stories and poems, Deho said. They're not dangerous. All human cultural products are dangerous. Your species spreads emotional instability wherever you go. One of the officers was looking for Deho's grandfather's bowl. "Sir, I cannot locate the ceramic artifact mentioned in the report." Elder Veltar's silver skin darkened with anger. "Find it. Destroy everything connected to primitive Earth culture." They searched the house completely, taking apart furniture and checking inside walls. They found nothing else to confiscate. Elder Veltar looked suspicious but could not prove anything was hidden. "Where is Liaison Lyra?" he demanded. "I told you, she went to get paperwork." "It has been 30 minutes. Lyra never takes 30 minutes for simple tasks." Just then, Lyra came through the front door. She moved with her usual quick, exact movements. But Deho could see her hands shaking slightly. "Liaison Lyra." "You are late," Elder Veltar said. "I apologize, Elder. The administrative office required additional forms for cultural compliance documentation." "Show me these forms." Lyra handed him a stack of official papers. Elder Veltar looked through them carefully. They were real forms, but Deho could tell she had grabbed them quickly to have an excuse for being away. "Your behavior has been reported as non-compliant," Elder Veltar said. "You will come with us for evaluation and reassignment." "I understand, Elder. First, you will help us locate any remaining primitive artifacts in this residence." Lyra looked around the now empty house. The security officers had taken almost everything that made it feel like home. "I see no primitive artifacts, Elder. The residence appears properly sterilized." Elder Veltar stared at her for a long time. "You are lying, Liaison Lyra." "I am reporting what I observe, Elder. We know the human had a ceramic bowl and organic plant materials. They have disappeared. Perhaps the human disposed of them voluntarily, recognizing their inappropriate nature." This was the first time Deho had heard Lyra speak in official language since their first meeting. But he could see something different in her eyes. She was protecting him and his memories, even while speaking the words her superiors wanted to hear. Elder Veltar gestured to the security officers. "Take her to headquarters. Begin memory evaluation immediately." As they put restraints on Lyra's arms, she looked at Deho one last time. "Remember to water the plants," she said quietly. "They need daily care to grow properly." After they took Lyra away, Deho sat alone in his empty house. Everything felt cold and sterile again, like the day he first arrived. But outside his window, he could see the community garden growing. Other residents were still tending their plants, still learning to work together. That evening, Sujin came to visit. "I heard what happened. Are you okay? I'm worried about Lyra. She saved my grandfather's bowl and my tea, but now they're going to punish her." "She made her own choice. That's what humans do. We choose what matters to us. But she's not human. Maybe being human isn't about what species you are. Maybe it's about choosing to care, even when it's difficult." The next day, more officials came to the garden area. They ordered all the plants to be destroyed. "This unauthorized agriculture project violates colony regulations," they announced. But something unexpected happened. The residents refused to leave. Kix, the Veltaran engineer, stood in front of his crystal flowers. "These plants are not harmful," he said. "They bring beauty to our community." Vare, the insect-like alien, used her 6 arms to protect the purple vines. "My plants help clean the air. They serve a practical function." Other aliens joined them. They formed a circle around the garden, protecting what they had grown together. The security officers looked confused. They had orders to destroy the garden, but they had never seen aliens refuse to follow rules before. That night, Deho found the hidden storage area Lyra had mentioned. Under a loose stone wrapped in cloth were his grandfather's bowl, his tea leaves, and the seeds from Earth. With them was a note written in Lyra's careful handwriting. "These objects carry your family's love across the stars. Love is not primitive or advanced. It is simply necessary. Do not let them convince you otherwise. The plants know the truth. Life grows better when it is cared for." Deho held his grandfather's bowl and felt tears on his face. Somewhere in the colony headquarters, they were trying to erase Lyra's memories and make her forget everything she had learned about caring and choosing and being herself. But they were too late. The change had already started. It was growing in the minds of aliens who had learned to tend gardens, who had tasted homemade food, who had discovered that efficiency was not the only thing that mattered. Tomorrow he would find a way to help Lyra. Tonight, he would make tea and remember that some things were worth fighting for, even when fighting seemed impossible. 2 days after they took Lyra away, Deho received an official notice. He was ordered to appear before the Colonial Tribunal for Cultural Contamination Violations. The hearing would decide if he could stay on Velthara 7 or if he would be sent back to Earth. Deho sat in his empty house holding the notice. He felt scared and alone, but he also felt something else, determination. Lyra had risked everything to protect his memories. Now it was his turn to fight for what mattered. The morning of the hearing, Su Jin came to walk with him to the tribunal building. "Whatever happens, you did something good here," she said. "You helped people remember how to feel. I just made tea and planted some seeds. Sometimes the smallest things change everything." The tribunal room was large and cold, with white walls and bright lights. Elder Veltar sat at a high table with 4 other officials. Commander Yeon stood to one side. In the audience area, Deho saw many familiar faces, residents from the colony who had worked in the garden or visited his house. "Human Kim Deho," Elder Veltar announced. "You are charged with cultural contamination of alien residents, violation of dietary regulations, unauthorized agricultural activities, and corrupting a cultural liaison. How do you plead?" asked another official. Deho stood up. "I don't understand the charges. I shared tea with a friend. I planted flowers. I cooked food for people who were hungry. These things aren't crimes on Earth." "This is not Earth," Elder Veltar said coldly. "On civilized worlds, we follow rules that maintain social stability. Your primitive customs have caused chaos in our ordered society." "What kind of chaos?" "Emotional instability among alien residents, decreased work efficiency, unauthorized creative activities. Several aliens have requested permission to keep pet animals, something that was never desired before contact with your species." From the audience, Kix the engineer stood up. "Permission to speak? This is not your hearing, Kix Unit 47B. But it affects all of us who learned from the human. I request to testify." Elder Veltar looked annoyed. "Very well. State your observations." Kix walked to the center of the room. His usual quick robotic movements were gone. He moved more slowly, more thoughtfully. "Before I met Deho, I completed my work assignments efficiently but felt no satisfaction. I functioned properly but experienced no joy. Joy is not required for proper function. Perhaps not, but joy makes function meaningful. When I learned to tend plants, I discovered pride in creating life. When I shared meals with other residents, I felt connection. These emotions have not decreased my work performance. They have improved it. Impossible. Emotions reduce logical thinking. I have data to disprove this statement." Kix handed a tablet to the officials. "My productivity reports show a 12% increase since I began participating in human cultural activities. My error rate has decreased. My innovative solutions to engineering problems have increased significantly." Elder Veltar studied the data with surprise. "These results are unexpected." Another voice came from the audience. "Permission to speak?" It was Ver, the insect-like alien. "This hearing is becoming irregular." Elder Veltar complained. "Let her speak," said one of the other officials, who seemed curious. Ver approached the center.
"I am a waste management engineer.
My job is to process colony garbage efficiently. Before meeting the human, I processed waste for 12 hours per day with no personal satisfaction. I ate nutrition paste, slept exactly 8 hours, and had no recreational activities. That is proper, efficient living. But now I grow plants that turn waste into beautiful flowers. I cook food that makes my colleagues happy. I create art from recycled materials. And my waste processing efficiency has improved by 18% because I am motivated to do good work." More aliens stood up to speak. Each one shared similar stories. They had become more productive, more creative, and happier after learning human customs. The officials looked confused and concerned. Finally, the doors at the back of the room opened. 2 security officers brought in Lyra, but she looked wrong. Her crystal blue skin was dull gray, and her movements were stiff and mechanical. Her purple eyes were empty. "Liaison Lyra has undergone memory adjustment," Elder Veltar announced. "She no longer carries contamination from human cultural influence. She will provide testimony about the dangers of primitive customs." Lyra walked to the center of the room like a robot. "I am Liaison Lyra, Unit 23C. I was assigned to cultural compliance duty with human Kim Deho. During this assignment, I was exposed to primitive customs that damaged my cognitive function Deho felt his heart break. They had erased everything that made Lyra herself. All her curiosity, her gentleness, her growing ability to feel joy, gone. Describe these damaging customs, Elder Veltar ordered. The human engaged in inefficient food preparation, emotional attachment to non-functional objects, and time-wasting recreational conversation. And how did these customs affect you? Lyra was quiet for a moment. Her empty eyes seemed to flicker slightly. They caused me to... She stopped speaking. Her skin began to change color very slowly, from gray to pale blue. Continue your testimony, Elder Veltar demanded. They caused me to care, Lyra said quietly. Her voice sounded different, more alive. They taught me that efficiency without kindness is meaningless. They showed me that memories and traditions carry the love of generations. Elder Veltar stood up angrily. The memory adjustment was not complete. Remove her immediately for additional processing. No, Lyra said, and her skin turned bright blue. I remember everything. I remember the taste of real tea. I remember the pride of growing plants. I remember choosing to protect a friend's precious belongings. She turned to look at Deho. I remember learning that love is not a weakness to be corrected. It is the strength that makes life worth living. The security officers moved toward Lyra, but something unexpected happened. Kik stepped forward to block them. Then Ver joined him. Then other aliens from the audience stood up and formed a protective circle around Lyra. The evidence is clear, said one of the other officials, an elderly Veltheron with wise eyes. Human customs have not harmed our residents. They have improved their quality of life and work performance. Elder Veltar looked around the room with growing panic. This is mass contamination. All of these aliens require memory adjustment. No, said the wise official. What these aliens require is the freedom to choose their own path to happiness. The tribunal voted. 3 officials supported Elder Veltar's harsh punishment. 3 officials supported allowing human cultural exchange to continue. The deciding vote came from the eldest official, who had been quiet throughout the hearing. I have lived for many cycles, she said slowly. I remember our world before we eliminated emotions in pursuit of efficiency. I remember when our people created art, celebrated festivals, and chose their own companions. We became efficient, but we lost our souls. She looked at Deho. Human Kim Deho, you have not contaminated our people. You have reminded them of what we used to be, what we could be again. The charges are dismissed. Human residents are authorized to continue cultural sharing activities. All memory adjustments are to be reversed immediately. Elder Veltar stormed out of the room in fury, but his power was broken. Months later, Deho sat in his garden with Lyra, watching the sunset paint the purple sky in beautiful colors. The community garden had grown into a large park where different species worked together, sharing food and stories and laughter. Lyra had recovered her memories and was now the colony's first cultural integration specialist, helping aliens rediscover the emotional connections they had lost. Do you ever regret coming here? She asked, handing him a cup of tea made in his grandfather's bowl. Deho looked around at the thriving community they had helped create. Aliens were teaching each other to cook, to paint, to sing songs from their home worlds. Children of different species played together in the garden. No, he said, smiling. This is exactly where I belong. Above them, the stars came out, and somewhere among them, Earth continued to turn. But home, Deho had learned, was not a planet. Home was wherever people chose to care for each other, one cup of tea at a time.